stuffed in a garbage bag tossed somewhere on the third floor of my house. They've survived dozens of moves and have stayed in that garbage bag for the better part of 57 years. I come across them once in a while, usually when I'm cleaning out one area of the house and fixing up another. The bag only gets open when someone has to check and see what's inside. My ex-wife, old girlfriends, movers, and band crews have all looked down the open mouth of the green glad bag into my beginnings, like Rosebud. Hey, do you want these? They're a bunch of old kids' toys. Or, fuck, look at this weird shit. These things are scary. Or, throw them out. Throw them all out. Jesus Christ, what are you keeping them for? Girlfriends have said. Over the years, I've managed to hold on to the toys, but not the girlfriends. I kept the toys as a reminder of where I came from, or at least where I thought I came from. That green plastic garbage bag hung around for years to honor my first memory of feeling hollowed out, like an outsider in my own home, like a stranger not knowing what the heck was going on. The first time I felt I was in the wrong place, like a spaceship had dropped me in the wrong yard. Bunny Wilson's Kid. The Needy. Bunny and George were older. George was 51 and Bunny was 47 when I showed up in 1959. George collected $100 for working 5 days a week at a blind stand. The small confectionery posts were organized by the Canadian National Institute for the Blind and were meant to provide blind vets with work and purpose. George also collected a disability pension for having his head blown open and his eyes taken away from him as an RCAF flight sergeant. Bunny stayed home wearing an apron and caring for things like the washing and the ironing and me. I guess she was a housewife of sorts, although the house was always very messy. Things were always kept off the floor so George could maneuver his way through the house. And as a result, there were pathways made through the living room, walled in by stacks of newspaper and magazines and toys, ironing boards piled up on either side. The place was a disaster, but at least George wouldn't trip when he was getting to his easy chair. Bunny wasn't much of a cook either. We lived off TV dinners, instant potatoes, wieners, Kraft dinner, Pop-Tarts, and cans of anything she happened to reach for and pull off the shelf. Wax beans, cream corn, alphagetti, and on down the line. I can't remember an onion ever hitting a saucepan. Nothing was made from scratch. Bunny would sit in the kitchen reading the paper in her underwear and an apron, pondering her next move, telling Trixie, well, I guess it's time for us to strap on the old goddamn feed bag, isn't it? Bunny left school at 14 to start work at the Sun Life building in downtown Montreal. She took the train into Montreal every morning, got off at Windsor Station, and walked with the masses across Dorchester Square, where she reported to her desk in the tallest building in the largest city in the Dominion of Canada. She went straight from a one-room schoolhouse in the sticks of Quebec to filing foreign insurance policies and fancy clients and answering calls of wild and worldly customers in faraway lands she'd only seen on maps, places like Cuba and Caracas. She went to Mass on her lunch break and disappeared behind secret doors and speakeasies with gangsters and jazz musicians on Friday nights. So domestic work was not something she understood or even cared about. From what I can recall, she would go from one messy room to another messy room, standing in the doorways with her hands on her hips, sighing in confusion. George would wake up every morning, shower and shave. Then he and Bunny would sit around the kitchen table drinking coffee and eating toast. The radio would be playing as well, CFRB, news, weather, and sports, mouthy commentators like Gordon Sinclair and Pierre Burton. I would hear them from the room down the hall. I'd lie in bed until George was ready to go. He would say goodbye and head down the stairs to a taxi idling in the driveway waiting for him. I would wave to him from the front door as he went around the corner. Even though he was blind, he would still wave back before disappearing down Brucedale Avenue. Bunny would throw a couple Pop-Tarts in the toaster, pour me a glass of orange juice and maybe a cup of tea before I got myself dressed, and headed out the door and north up 36th Street to Peace Memorial School. Peace Memorial sat between Queensdale...